That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin.
All right, welcome in everybody to the Band Pod. I'm your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, we have got a lady angler, and she is one of the baddest ones on the planet. We went out and got Rachel Uribe. Rachel, welcome into the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is fun. Now, I went out, I read some bios, I read some different things about you. You've been doing this for 14 years. You've been doing really well. I know you've got a couple good top 10s. How many have you won? How many of the different kayak tournaments and different things have you won?
As far as the kayak tournaments go, I believe I've won about 4 now. As far as the boat side goes, I'm still on the hunt for my win.
Still on the hunt for that win. You did come off the Delta recently, and you got a second place win, and history was made when you did that, right? I mean, you and Miss Moreno had first and second in the co-angler side of the Toyota series for MLF. And that's never really been done before. Tell me a little bit quick, like how was that feel? This is a male dominated sport. I think we can agree on that. I think everybody out there would agree on that. But those fish don't care,
Right.
And I think going out like yourself and, having a great day out there, showing them that you've got the skills that it takes to compete. It's pretty awesome to see, and I love having that on the show. So, how'd that make you kind of feel, you guys doing that?
Yeah, it was another amazing event. And then Deanna, I met her a few years back, and we've kind of pushed each other to keep going with the whole fishing and the whole circuit and stuff like that. So for us to both make first and second on the final day was phenomenal. She's a great angler as well, great person. She's a nurse, I'm a nurse. It was just all kind of crazy the way things lined up. She got a Christian for the final day. I was fishing with a Christian on the final day too. So it was just whole kind of dynamics and everything. It was a blast. I'm very grateful for the whole experience and to be sharing the stage with her. It was amazing.
Well, one of the other things we talked about, and the topic of this show that I really want to kind of get into, because it is the heat of summer. I just came off of Trinity Lake. We were up at Trinity. We were up at Whiskey Town, Mark Lassane and I, and we were sitting in 105, 109, 114 degree weather. It was just flat out hot, but flat out hot means that there is some good topwater action starting. And I'll tell you what, I had some good topwater action on Trinity, had a blast out there doing that, catching some good fish. And I want to talk to you about a little bit about that. I know that you had just come off the Spro tournament out there on Lake Havasu, right?
Correct, yes.
You said you and your dad went out there, you fished the Spro tournament. Let's talk some topwater fishing, because I think topwater fishing is one of my favorites. I think it's one of your favorites.
It is.
For the most part out there, I think it's one of the most exciting ways to catch bass. It's absolutely fun. But let's talk about some of what it takes to kind of get those good bites. And, can you actually do it all day long? I think like this weekend was a full moon. And
right.
I had topwater bite for a very long time. What about you? How did you do it? And how was the Spro tournament? And what's your favorite topwater? Let's get all the
Well, it all started with the Delta, actually. That's when on the second day, I got into a really amazing topwater bite. I was just putting fish in the boat left and right. It was such a blast. I love throwing topwater. I love throwing big swim baits, S-wavers. So for that second day, just to have that many bites on the topwater, to the point where my pro just kind of looks at me and is like, what is going on back there? Like, what are you doing? So it was a blast. I was just throwing a little popper. I find for myself, like, especially during the transition a little bit, even if I'm throwing that top water, I really have to pay attention to like what the fish are wanting, whether they're wanting it fast, whether they're wanting it slow, whether, you're moving it and you're pausing it, and then that's when they're keying in on your lure. So for the Spro tournament, actually, they wanted it slow. They just wanted you to pop the frog. And I was using a pop and frog, just pop, pop, pause. And then as soon as it paused, they just annihilate that frog. So it was a lot of fun. Went straight to Lake Havasu after the Delta tournament. So made that long drive, pulled into Havasu, I think like at 1 a.m. My dad and I jump in the car, head down to the launch ramp. We had to be there by 4, and we had just an amazing day out on Havasu as well. We were just loading up the boat with fish to be, out there with my dad fishing as well. It was just a great time. And again, no better way to catch it than on top water. Yeah, it could be 100. It was like 100 degrees out there too. But you know what? When those fish are blowing up on that top water, you forget about the heat.
Right? Yeah. Drink some water, call it good, go out and get it done, right?
Yeah. So it was a blast, a lot of fun.
It's you go from the Delta to Havasu. Now, I've never been on Havasu, so I don't think it's a tidal water because it's a lake. So,
right.
but you got the Delta there, and those are two very separate kinds of water. And when we talk about top water fishing, I think people really kind of look at it and go, does it turn off? When you're talking about something like a tidal water versus a lake,
Right.
do you find that during the day one fish is better than the other? Does top water last all day? Is it only early morning? Is it something that's like if you're not on the water at dark 30, you're not getting that bite? Or is it something you can prolong for the day?
As far as tidal water goes, I think with that tide, I feel like it's better on a lower tide. So I feel like you can kind of chase the tide out on tidal water. As far as the lake goes, I think you can still find them all day. It's just more pinpointing, like in the mornings, if it's overcast, they're kind of just out there. When the sun starts coming out, you're going to want to be hitting more of those shade pockets, a little bit more hangovers, or maybe even grass, just to get those fish to come up out of the grass because they're hiding. They're looking for shade there,
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can. I think if you really want that topwater action, it's not going to be, you're forcing the fish. So sometimes it's not what they want, but you can trick them into biting it all day, I believe.
Okay. Now, then you switch over to a lake. Now, let's before we go to the lake real quick, and I look at the Delta and I go out there and like I said, I love the topwater bait, but you're throwing, you're talking about you're throwing poppers and you're throwing frogs, of course, and that sort of thing. And you got the cheese mats and you got that thick grass and you got all come on, the Delta just is like topwater mecca, right? I love going out there. It's like, oh man, it's just the day that you go out, you just everywhere. It's like you launch and you go, I'm going to go to the best spot. It's right there. Everywhere you go, it's like, that's the best spot. That's the best spot. There could be a 10, be a 10 there. And then you get over and you start going to a lake. Now, most lakes, you don't see the big cheese mats. You don't see the grass cover. You don't see, you might see some submerged grass and things like that. But how do you figure out and target a lake compared to something that just look like the Delta that just looks absolutely amazing when you're out there?
Yeah,
And don't use Clear Lake because Clear Lake's the anomaly.
No, just again, like just hangover shade pockets. If your lake has docks, skip it under the dock. They're mostly looking for coverage, so you got to find that shade pocket. Whether there's trees hanging over the water that's creating that little bit of shade, just being more aware of what's out there on your lake and stuff like that. So mostly just hitting all those areas like Havasu. There's cages and stuff like that. When the sun comes up, they like to hide in the cages. So you can do some top water over those cages. There's still grass that's growing, on all the lakes right now because of the hot weather. So just looking for that grass, that submerged grass as well. Even in front of the tules. They come out of the tules, they're hiding in the tules. Just fish the edges of the tules too. You can get that topwater action.
Well, there's a couple ways, and I know that you're not a kayak specialist. That's not your thing specifically. back of the boat. You're doing well there as well. How do you play that out, especially in the summer when you've got a guy, you've got an angler in front of you. I don't want to, because I don't want to say a guy. There are women out there that are fishing on the front of the boat too. But you go from a kayak where you're making all the decisions. I've never seen a double person kayak that's out there fishing these tournaments. So you're making all the decisions. You're picking everything out. Now you go to the back of the boat and you're fishing. And when you're talking summer and you're talking topwater and you're talking areas like that, how do you switch it up and make that transition from I'm making all the decisions to I'm just going to fish whatever they give me? How does that work for you?
Right. So primarily, like most of my background is being a co-angler. So I've over the years adapted, and you have to be versatile. You have to just kind of go with whatever's presented to you. And so, but you still, like for myself, I still fish my confident baits. Like I love throwing a buzz bait as well for a top water. So if they're wanting something a little bit faster, even if my guy's throwing a popper and he's getting some bites, I like to throw something that's a little bit different. So maybe I'll try like a buzz bait or an S waves. It just kind of adjusting and being versatile to what situations presented in front of you. So yeah.
Well,
It's
one of the things that you said was that you're fishing the Delta and your angler in front is standing there looking at you going, what are you doing back there? Because you're kind of butt right now. What's going on? How does that work out for you? Because you did what it took. You took second, which is not a bad thing. I mean, Deanna took first and she didn't get back to me, so she wasn't on the show to talk with you too. But I'd love to do a dual show.
yeah.
If you're gonna listen to this thing, let's hook up. Let's get this thing. I'd love to have both of you on here talking at the same time too. But how does that kind of work for you? It's like if you start doing well, have you ever had them just, well, maybe I'll just pick up what you're doing and start doing that, and then it changes the way you have to fish?
I think the question is, have I not had that happen to me? I had that happen multiple times. But over the years, I've learned, I mean, like all of us know, it's partly mental out there as well. So I just learned to just kind of relax, let it go. And I know what I'm targeting. And sometimes when they're picking up my same lure or my same baits, they don't know exactly how I'm working it, what I'm targeting, what I'm looking for. So for me, that gives me that extra boost of confidence, knowing this is what I'm looking for. And I've proven to myself a couple times, like the boater will pick up the same exact rig that I'm throwing, but they're not catching them, but I'm still catching them back there. And it just goes to show that it's more technique, it's more strategy. It's not just throwing a lure out there and saying, hey, I'm hoping for the best. So I know a lot of people say it's partly luck. It is partly luck, but it is a lot of technique, a lot of understanding why you're throwing a certain lure, what you're targeting, what you're looking for. So you just kind of roll with it and just keep doing your thing.
Well, it's funny you say that, and I want to agree with you a little bit, but that at the same time, when they say it's luck, I don't believe necessarily that it's luck in that like the general term. Oh, I caught a fish, it's lucky. I think size might be the lucky part. Like, oh, I caught a 8-pounder. Okay, well, a little bit of that was luck that 8-pounder just happened to be there. Now you may have been fishing water going, oh no, there's going to be a big one there, or something like that. But the fact that how big that fish was, it could have been a 4 or 5. That's still a big fish, but hey, it was an 8. That's
Right.
where I think luck comes from. And I always like to preface that or say that because I think people they look at fishing and they think, oh, you're just out there. They don't always get it. They don't get what we do or what you do is not about sitting on the bank, drinking a couple cold ones, catch a suntan and a little bit of a buzz and enjoying fishing. This is hard work. This is hard work out there. And,
It is.
you're doing something and I know you enjoy doing it on top of everything else. You enjoy teaching this and showing others and trying to grow the sport for women in the sport and bringing them out and saying, hey, you know what? You can do this. I've talked to a lot of different women who have done this, and they, most of them are so open and so honest about everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you really feel like stops you from doing anything out there these days? As far as being on those boats or anything, have you ever had any problems with the anglers out here?
Tackle Warehouse has been the premier online tackle shop since 2003, with a huge selection of not only the latest and greatest from the biggest brands, but the hard-to-find regional specialties as well. Tackle Warehouse. Click, save, fish.
I mean, you don't have to name names or anything like that. Yes or no is...
I think all of us, whether you're a male or female, I think we've all had an experience. So I can't speak on anyone in particular's behalf, but yes, I mean, I think we all have. I hear story from other, male co-anglers, about this and that. And I'm like, wow, I always thought it was just me because I'm a female, but it's not. I mean, it's just something that happens, you're just an experience. I guess that's just part of the game.
Right.
But for myself, again, it's just like, I want to be out there. I want to enjoy my time. So whatever's presented to me, I'm going to make a good time out of it. And I'm out here to win. I mean, I'm out here to inspire others. And, it's kind of the luck of the draw of who I'm chosen to fish with. So I can't complain about it. I can't gripe about it because you know what? That's going to be a long day on the water. So
yeah.
You just kind of go out there. Yeah, I've experienced a few things. I've had a couple rough rides where I'm like, I'm not like, this is my last ride, Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have. I've been in hairy situations a couple of times, and it's just, I don't know, you just gotta hold on and just go along with the ride, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you get backseated, especially if you're doing good. I've experienced that. I mean, maybe some people think, oh, she's a female, they may cater to her, they may give her more water. No, they don't. I wish they don't.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But we're out here to compete. We're all out here to do the same exact thing, whether you're a male or female, it doesn't matter. I think we've all had the same exact experiences.
But that's a good thing. I honestly believe that, I've been out there, I've fished with jerks too, and people I haven't got along with. I don't get along with everybody all the time. And I don't think anybody ever does, but when you take it on, when I hear that, it's to me, that's a positive that, what, people don't always get along, but you go out on the boat together, you're doing some fishing, you're doing some, this thing. They're stealing some of your, some of the things you do. You're kind of watching what they're doing. And it should be a fun day on the water. I mean, I go out with some guys who I really have a blast with, obviously. But at the same time, I think it's just human nature more than, a sexual thing, whether it be male or female, that sort of thing, and that's, and what I think that's I think it's a positive way to look, are you always going to get the best draw in the world? No. but at the same time, you can learn from that person because they're usually, I have learned that most of the time when I kind of get somebody that I don't get along with, they're also teaching me something that I don't necessarily know or pay attention to because of what they're doing and the way they do it. And like you say, could be positive, could be negative, but you kind of take out of it what you want.
Right.
But it's not a way to, I didn't hear anything that you said that says, yeah, don't come out and do this. I mean, you're still competing against the fish. I mean, in the long run, it's still about the fish. And they don't care. They don't care. Race, creed, color. They don't care about your sexual orientation. They don't care about nothing. They're just like, what you got for me to eat? That's what you go out there and you're competing against that. Yeah, you're competing against the other people and what they can weigh in, but go out there and do it. I mean, your win will eventually come here. That's that's always a given. And when you have something like that, Let me ask you this about, because I want to get a little bit back to topwater for just a second, because I think it's fun. I think it's funny because I am one of those people. I don't know if you're one of those people, but it's like when you get that topwater bite, are you just ruined for the rest of the day? I mean, do you just like, nope, that's how I'm going to catch my fish today? Or is it something that, you're like, you can be a little more versatile?
I've learned that I cannot be stubborn. As much as I love top water and swim baits and S wavers and big baits, I've learned that if I want to win, if I want to be successful, I cannot force feed these fish. You have to listen to what they're wanting. You have to give them what they want if you want to get that bite. Now, if you don't, and you just want to go out there and have fun, and have fun in the sense of trying to get these fish to react, in your 8-hour limit minus all of your boat rides and moving spot to spot, then go for it. But yeah, no, I learned that I need to get out of my stubborn ways and listen to these fish.
Yeah, I haven't learned that yet. I'm still stubborn. I get a frog. Well, I get a frog blow up. That's it. I'm done. I can catch that fish. I just get the frog blow up. It's like, I'm never putting this down today. I get horrible at it, but it is one of those things, that's what I love about. I think that's what I love about topwater the most. In that summertime, it sucks because summertime it's kind of like you hit.
You just know it's going to happen. Like you're just waiting for it to just blow up on your lure.
It's 105. The sun is directly overhead. It's a full moon, and I want to throw it at 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm still wanting to throw that top water. Right? I mean, that's how passionate you can get about it, and it is a fun thing to do. The feel of it, the explosion of it. I mean, Mark, who owns this company, was telling me he was at the last tournament he was at, and he had a topwater blow up. He goes, he is now up there in age. He's been doing this a little while, and he goes, it was absolutely the best topwater bite I've ever had in my entire life. When you hear something like that from an aged veteran, that's been doing this for a long time, they still have that passion,
right?
But that's what that topwater bite can do right there, right? You never get those really good ones. When you got that, I got that plus whatever 8-pound, 9-pound fish on top. That's just incredible. That's just incredible. And listen to you talk about it. And how did you guys end up doing at the frog tournament down there? Oh, did it?
You still there?
Oh, I'm still here. Can you see me?
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you guys end up doing out there at the frog tournament?
My dad and I took 3rd place.
Okay.
So, yeah, we did good. But yeah, going back to like that whole topwater experience that Mark was talking about. So on the 2nd day at the Delta, I picked up my topwater because I was throwing my worm and nothing. I see this patch of grass and I'm like, it's like a point around a bend. And I'm like, man, there has to be a topwater fish there. Like they're just, you get this gut feeling, you're just like, It has to happen right now. So I pick it up and I'm working my popper back. And all of a sudden it's just like a huge blow up, and my popper's gone. And I'm like, this is it. So I wait and I set the hook and I'm fighting this fish and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go around the other side. And so I take it out to deeper water, knowing that there's grass. I'm like, I know he's going to bury himself in the grass. So I'm fighting it and we see the head come up and I'm like, oh man, this is the one. And yeah, that was a 6-pound, 4-ounce bass, my first one of the morning. So that's what got me fired up. And at that point, I did keep it in my hand for a while, but like 3 casts later, I catch another fish. Another 2 casts later, I catch another fish. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So even though I want this to happen, it is going to happen because this is what they're wanting too. So it was a match made in heaven for that topwater fishing that day.
And what day was that? Was that day 1, day 2?
That was the 2nd day. Yeah, that was day 2. Yeah. And then Havasu, when my dad and I fished the frog tournament. Yeah, same thing. Like that. It was a phenomenal bite. The morning, it was overcast. It was perfect weather for topwater. We were catching, we called maybe like 2 limits that day, and it was a short period of time too. I think it was like maybe 6-hour tournament. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. I was sleep deprived that day, but but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, that topwater action, like you said, it's like a kid in a candy store. You just cannot get enough of it.
Well, now, you're down out of San Diego, and it's one of those things that I I always, when I think of San Diego, I think down that way. It's like 75 degrees every day of the week, right? I mean, it never changes. You just are
No,
what you are. Does it give you any extended time period for that?
it's actually hot right now. I know it's not a heat wave to you guys, but we're in like 85s to
85s.
90s right now. It's a heat wave for us.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
if you don't get much air movement down there, and if you don't get the air movement, then it just gets hot, right?
yeah, it is. So it's warming up down here. I'm hoping that it cools back down. I'm hoping we get that beach breeze going on. But yeah,
I just, are you on the ocean side or are you on the inland side?
I'm right in the middle.
You're right in
Yeah,
the middle.
a little bit closer to the ocean, but not too close where you get that nice ocean breeze. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you got to win some more money so you can pack up, move towards the beach.
I do. Along with my boat, and I'm hoping to win soon.
Nice, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, do you have aspirations of that going forward, moving up to the front of the boat, hitting the pointy end, and saying, "All right, you can just sit back there and stare at me while looking at my forward facing."
Yes, I do. That's been my goal for a few years now, is to win one of the MLF tournaments to get my boat to move up to the front. That's been my goal for a couple years now. So I thought this was going to be it. It wasn't, but I was a lot closer, and it's so ironic. So I'm looking at all my trophies,
Mhm.
and it's kind of ironic that most of them are on the Delta. Why? I don't know. Maybe we just have some kind of connection, but yeah, it's kind of ironic that a lot of my trophies are from the Delta.
Yeah,
So
that's not a bad thing, right?
no, no, no. I love it. I like it out there. But so yeah,
Apparently.
that is my goal, to move to the front of the boat. But doing the kayak thing, I mean, like I said, most of my background is a co-angler.
Hmm.
So I've been in the kayak scene for I think 3 years now. And that's a whole different mindset for me, because you have to pick your water, you have to figure out when to move, when not to move, learn my graph. I didn't know how to work a graph and all of those things. So I feel like it's a little transition that's coming into place. And when the time is supposed to happen, then it will happen. And I feel right now it's kind of seasoning me for that transition. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love fishing out of the kayak again. It's me, and I get to pick my spot, and I'm just not stuck going where someone's wanting me to go. So it's a lot more learning. It's a lot more understanding of the water, of what it's doing, what the fish are doing. So it's building on that knowledge. It's a lot of fun.
Was there, or is there, I should say, is there something that I know that I struggle with it sometimes. The guy, you go out there and you're fishing, you're in a kayak, and it's not about weight anymore. It's all about inches. And people are like, "Oh, how big a fish did you catch?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got a 5.5 pounder." And they're like, "How many inches was that?"
Right.
Oh, no, I don't even care. It was 5.5 pounds. That's the one. That's what I like. Is that been a transitional period thing that you're looking at and going, "Hey, you know what? That's kind of weird that now I got to put them on here. I got to take a picture of them. I got to do all this stuff." I was watching the kayak this last weekend, and I mean, I was just like blown away. Like, okay, this is crazy. Mouth closed up. This has
Right.
length. It has to be that. Put this little indicator thing. I'm like, there's a lot of work to this kayak thing, but that you don't see
Yeah.
compared to, it's like, "Oh, I caught a 5 pounder." I go, "Woohoo!" Take a picture, put him in a box.
Right.
See you in a little while. That sort of thing. How is that different for you when you're doing that? I mean, what is that transition at all? I mean, you catch a 6 pounder and you're sitting there going,
Yeah.
"So awesome," but it's only the inches that it matters. I'm like,
Yeah.
5 pounder that is the same inches, right?
Right, right. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it is weird because like when you're out there on the kayak, like you're like, oh, we need bigger fish, but bigger meaning longer. Like I don't care if they weigh 1 pound, but they're like 20 inches long.
Right.
That's what I want. So it is a different mindset, but it has it's different. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot more challenges. I feel you're confined to a small area, and it's not that once you net your fish, like on a bass boat, once you net your fish, it's a done deal. Like all you have to do is clip it, put it in the box, and it's going away in. But on the kayak, you got to net it, and then you got to try to hold the fish that's jumping, flopping on this measuring board to take a correct picture with its mouth closed with the identifier code in it while it's flopping around. Hopefully the fish doesn't flop off the measuring board and hit your phone in the water, because then you're done for the day. So it's there's a lot more to it. It's not just that I caught it, it's in the net, I am good to go. It's I caught it, now I got to take the right picture and I got to submit it at the right time to make sure that it's qualifies for my day's keep. But it's a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun. I feel like it fine tunes you as well. And yeah, it's a blast. I love it. I love kayak fishing. I think it's just because I'm on my own vessel and I don't have to worry about anything else. Like my boater saying, get up, let's go, or anything like that. And I take my pup. I love having my dog on the kayak with me. It's relaxing. It's more calming too, as well. Even though it's still a competition, it's still like, it's more relaxing too. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Hey folks, Randall and I want to talk to you real quick about choosing the right electronics mount for your bass boat.
Mark and I have been partnered with Bass Boat Technologies from the very beginning, and we know the quality and effort that Van Foster has put into this company.
Custom, that's the one thing that I think about whenever I think of Bass Boat Technologies. Van Foster has spent years, not hours, years perfecting these mounts. He works with just about every bass boat company out there, most models for every bass boat company out there. He has spent the time working on these bass boats. So what you get is a custom fitted mount, not some mass produced universal mount for every bass boat out there. Van makes them custom fit for your bass boat.
Bass Boat Technologies also makes a lot of other custom parts. Seat pedestal plugs, tool holders, steering wheel spacers, and battery trays are all made with the same attention to detail that Bass Boat Technologies is known for.
Bass Boat Technologies is a vital part of our livelihood, and it's very important to your overall boating experience also.
Absolutely, and that's why we choose Bass Boat Technologies. Check them out at bassboattech.com. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I look at and I know, I mean, there were guys running a long ways, I was kind of, I know that's come a little ways. One, it's come a little ways since there's now motors allowed, you can have them on there, that's the trolling motors, and they do go pretty quick. And with the inventation of lithium batteries, and you have those on there and they're lighter and it's easy to get places and they last a lot longer. I feel like that's not, I don't want to say settling it or making it even to with a bass boat like you talked about. There's so much more of a dynamic to it, but you can definitely get a lot further than you ever used to be. And some of these bigger lakes become like Clear Lake or, even the Delta, guys are going out fishing the Deltas. And they're getting a lot further than they ever used to. Have you found that it's become, I don't want to say maybe easier, I guess is not the best way to say it, but it's become less of a hindrance to be in a kayak than it ever was before?
I don't think there's a hindrance of being in a kayak. I don't know. I feel like I feel like with the trolling motors. Yeah. So again, I was new to the whole kayak scene. Like I got it during COVID because I wanted to get on the water. I was working remotely. I didn't win my boat yet. So I got a kayak and I was on my paddles. And one of the guys from Anglers Marine, Jonathan, he was fishing the kayak events and he's like, hey, come out here and join us. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm on paddles and I'm out there paddling, throwing my spinner bait and the wind's blowing me into the trees. So going from paddle and now I have a trolling motor with spot lock with rafts and everything like that. The trolling motor with the spot lock is the best thing you can have. I mean, you can just fish more efficiently. You don't have to worry about the winds per se, and paddling and pedaling and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
I always say that people talk about forward facing sonar being, it's changing the sport. And I don't agree. I mean, I agree it's changing the sport, But I think what you just said, spot lock has been the biggest changer of the game for any boat, whether it if, a full-size bass boat, a john boat, a kayak. You put spot lock in there, and all of a sudden 25-mile-per-hour winds mean nothing. I mean, not in fishability, but in the fact that you can go there. It's like, oh, I caught a fish, and
on that spot and still
hit that button, and when I'm done doing my whole thing, taking a camera, you're not 20 yards away from where you're not stuck in a bush somewhere or up against the tulies or anything else. You're
right.
where you were, you're taking your picture, you're doing your thing. It is an absolute game changer. I think if they wanted to, change this sport, take away spot lock.
No.
See what
Why
happens.
are you going to mention that? Why are you going to start all that now?
Well, they always, they're talking about taking away, get rid of the forward-facing sonar. I learned a new, it's funny. I learned a new word this week, and I didn't learn the word enough to really know what it is, but it was something mid-trolling or something like this, and it's a kayak thing, and I'm like, what? And it's all about forward-facing sonar, and you are throwing the bait out and doing the mid-drifting, or I don't know what it's called. I apparently didn't learn the word enough, but it's just one of those things, and it was just like, but the guy that keeps, doing very well at our events for the BAM Trail, that's what his big thing is. And I don't know if that's, something you find. Have you gone that route? Have you gotten into the forward-facing sonar? And between the kayak and the big boat, what's your take on it? Because if you have one for your kayak,
right? I do. Yes.
And now you have the big boat, and the person on the front of the boat is using it.
Yeah.
You're in the back of the boat. And I tried to peek over and look at Mark's when I was fishing with him. And it's like, can you see my lure? Now, mind you, I was throwing it right at his core, right at his right head. So I don't care. But it was, we're having fun, but it wasn't a tournament. But it's like, what is your take on it? Because, for the kayaks, I see where you have positive, but for the, I've always hear the negatives, and, whatever. I don't care. If you win, you win. Great.
Right.
How you did it is how you did it.
Right. I know it's been like a whole thing about forward-facing sonar and stuff like that, and some co-anglers feel like it's putting them at a disadvantage, but I don't. I mean, honestly, when I'm on the back of the boat, my guys don't leave their back graph on for me. I don't know what's down there. I don't know what they're fishing. I don't know what they're looking for. So for me, I feel like it's the same thing. I mean, I still don't know. Like, even if they didn't have forward-facing sonar, they're still looking at their graph, their side scan, their down scan. I can't see it. Their graph back there is not on for me. So for me, it's more, I'm still looking at like what's going on around me, whether there's, fish busting, whether there's a shade on that area, where there's coots, working some grass. And I know that there's grass there, but even sometimes, like, I've been in the situation where my guy's just so keened on with his forward-facing sonar that he's missing everything around him. So for my advantage, I'm still looking around and there's fish busting. And you know what? He doesn't even see what's going on. So right. I'm going to pick up my lure and I'm going to throw over there and I'm going to catch those fish. Then he's going to be like, well, what's going on over there? Nothing. Like, just keep going on that graph. That's okay. So I don't look at it that way. It is what it is. Again, you can't change it. There's always an advantage and a disadvantage to everything. I mean, like I said, even if they're just using their standard graph, I mean, that's still an advantage for them. But you know what? They're on the front of the boat. So I chose to be on the back of the boat. I can't complain about it. If they want to buy that for their boat, if they want to utilize that, then so be it. And I got to adapt and I got to figure out other ways. And again, it's just paying attention to Mother Nature and figuring out where these fish are, what's going on in the lake or whatever body of water you're fishing, and go out there and fish. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And some guys have it, like myself. I'm going to be honest. I have forward facing. Do I understand it fully? I don't. I still have to learn it. So even though they have it and they have it turned on, you don't know if they really understand what they're looking at or how to catch the fish off of it. So maybe it's a maybe it's, an advantage for you because they really don't know what they're doing and they're so keyed in on it. And I have been to a point where I've kind of see them on the forward facing, and then I'm so stuck on it, and I'm like, there's fish. Like, why are they not eating? And then you waste all your day trying to get these fish to bite because you see them there. That now your day is over with, and maybe you don't have a fish to weigh in. So, I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. You have to again know when to stop, move, get off of it, and just go fishing.
That's probably one of the healthiest ways I've ever heard it said. Good job. And that's a great attitude to look at. It's that, you know what? Just because they're looking at it doesn't mean they know how to use it. And, they are missing a lot of things around them that they, maybe don't pick up on. And that's a great way to look at it. And that's and that is the back.
That's one of my secrets. So you're going to edit that part out, right?
No.
Oh,
Nope. Hey, that's the show right there. We're trying to make everybody an angler. And Uribe just gave you all the secrets. When they're looking down, get your head up and look around.
Oh, man.
Pay attention to what's going on in the water and catch more fish. And that's what she seems to do really well. We got about 20 minutes left of this show. I brought her on here for so many reasons. I mean, the great finish she had at the Delta, the way this all worked out, her incredible knowledge. You're not going to see this. She doesn't know this, I don't think yet, but this is not a video. This is actually going to go out just as an audio. So when you guys are listening around that, you can't see the trophies on her wall, the one she's been showing off back there, the she's got on her. She is an angler. This is a woman who has gone out there and proven herself time and time again, continues to do it. And I guarantee you, when she gets her own boat and she's up there and she's on the front, anybody that draws her is going to have a heck of a day on the water and learn a lot. But with that said, I'm going to give you an opportunity. One of the things that I read in your bios is how much you really enjoy encouraging other women, young girls, all this to get in. Talk a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody. I can say what I've read about you, where they can find it. But you know what? Talk a little bit about what your other passion going into this. I know that you do some hospice care, I believe it was. You work with people. That is such a noble thing that you do. It's a tough thing to do. I know there's a lot of I have no way I would ever be able to do what you do. It's absolutely amazing. And I'd love to hear, what got you into this and how you can today look at a young girl coming up and saying, don't give up on fishing. If you get caught and you get that bug in you and you want to do it, tell them how they can still do it.
Yeah, so I do my first, because I believe fishing is a job. So my first full-time job is a hospice nurse. I've been doing it for years and I love it. It's something that I believe was just meant for me to be in. And I do fishing partly as a little outlet. I mean, with being a hospice nurse, there's a lot you go through, and it just gives you a whole different perspective of life. It shows you how anything can happen at any moment, to enjoy every opportunity that's given to you. And I feel like that's kind of contributed to my success in fishing as well, just for the simply fact that with fishing, if there is an opportunity, I'm going to take it. Like, I don't care how hard it is, what I'm going to have to do to get out there and make it happen. I'm going to go out there and make it happen because I know, 8 to 5, what's really happening and stuff like that. So I enjoy fishing. I enjoy hospice nurse. I feel like I'm very blessed being able to enjoy both my passions. And getting into fishing, I just feel like it's a wholesome family sport. Even like husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, kids. I just feel like it's a wholesome sport that brings everybody together, because it does take a lot of time and work to be out there on the water if you want to be successful. And if you have that significant other or partner, they're putting in just as much work at home. So I feel like it kind of brings everybody together, and it's a big unit. It's a big support system. And not only that, even though we're all out there as anglers competing against each other, at the end of the day, we're still rooting each other on. We want to see them be successful as well. And we're all out there congratulating each other. So I feel like it's an overall good sport for the whole community of sport to continue for our future, generations coming up. And that's just part of what I want to do. I want to inspire others, whether you're, a boy or girl, whatever it is, old, young. I mean, you see so many different dynamics out there on the water, and they're still out there. They're still out there enjoying the sport, no matter old, young, you know, people going through cancer. You don't know what kind of health issues they're going through, but at the end of the day, when you're out there on the water, you just kind of forget about everything and you're enjoying the moment. And even if you have a bad draw, you're still enjoying that time. You're still taking that opportunity that's given to you. So my whole thing too is just to inspire others. I do want to win, to move to the front of the boat, but also to show others that anything is possible, as long as you put in the time, as long as you put in the effort. And like my thing says, she believes, and she did. So I just feel like that's the big part of it, is don't ever give up on a dream.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Yeah, that's so well put. And one of the last interviews I just did was with Colby Pearson. And Colby, I don't know if you got to hear that interview or not, but the first one I ever did with him, and the reason there was two was because the guy keeps winning these dang things. But the first one he did, he had said some things in there, and he reminded me so much of Gary Klein. And Gary Klein is one of those guys that I grew up idolizing. I know a lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a wealth of knowledge. But what Colby said, that he changed his diet. He changed the way he looked at fishing. He went to his job and said, you know what? I brought a person in to take my position while I was fishing, and I would be back when I'm done fishing or whatever. And at that point, he had come back and he said, you know what? You can keep the job because I'm not giving up on my dreams. Just like what you just said. He decided that he was no longer going to give up on his dream of being this professional angler. And that changed. And all of a sudden, boom, boom, he wins back-to-back events. That was his moment in, his of clarity, whatever you want to say,
Right.
of, you know what? If you don't give up on what you actually want to do, you can actually accomplish it.
Right.
If I've had this one quote that I've always had forever. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you're right. So, go with that and say that, yes, by what you just said, don't give up on your dreams. Encourage people to come out in this sport. And like she said, if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're a child coming up, I know basketball and football and baseball and all these things have all this, up there making money everywhere you look. Don't give up on that one passion you have that you go, oh, I just fish for fun.
Right.
There are people out there right now fishing for fun and making millions of dollars doing it a year. And it's getting bigger. The West Coast is growing. I know that you'd love to see that. We have the BAM Trail is what we're trying to do, what Mark is trying to accomplish, what we're all they're a part of it that we're trying to accomplish, is we don't want to lose our great anglers. Rachel here is one of our great anglers. We don't want her to have to go back east to make money, give up everything she does, all of her life out here in California, out here in the West Coast. We don't want these anglers to give that up just so they can go make a living somewhere else. We want you guys here. We want to say, oh, no. You're not poaching our anglers. In fact, we'll take some of yours if you want to. If they want to come out here and give it a good run and think they're good anglers. I've asked for years. I asked Shaw Grigsby. I've asked Gary. I said, are you guys just afraid to come out here and fish? Is that it? Or You don't want to come out here and fish against some of the better anglers. What is it that you do, you know? And I always get it. It's like, oh, it's just so hard. It's so far. It's so long to get there. You understand. I mean, you said it just before.
I've traveled a lot.
Yeah, I said, how come you're not up here fishing the BAM Trail? And it's because it's 9 hours just from San Diego, one portion of California to the middle of it. You're not talking like the whole thing. It's 16 hours across the state. Other states you can be in 9 different places by the time you go 16 hours, right?
Right.
Not so much.
Yeah.
But we have that traveling, we have that going on, and I I really appreciate what you just said. I think that don't give up on your dreams. Don't it's such an important thing for people to really understand, and to see you doing it. I hope you do get that whatever it is that it's going to take to get you over the hump to get that boat. It's there. Do you feel pretty much ready to take that challenge on?
I'm always up for a good challenge. So yeah. But I honestly, I'm going to be honest. Like, even though I took second place at this Delta event, again, like, I want to move to the front of the boat to inspire others. But with the whole history making with 2 females taking first and second place, I feel like I won.
Yeah.
Just to inspire others and to see that this is possible. So, I mean, yeah, I would have loved to win the boat, but I feel accomplished in a sense where, my whole thing is to inspire others. And I feel like it is a big piece that's been out there in social media for quite a while now, just for everybody to kind of soak in and to grasp, and others who are clicking on the page and stuff like that to see, wow, this could be me. This, it's possible, as long as you continue to do what you want to do and you don't give up on it, anything is possible. And so I feel like I did win, and if the point comes where I do win my boat and I move to the front, yeah, then I would love to inspire others and encourage others again to get out there and move to the front of the boat. But for me, I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for all these circuits who are out here out west, like you mentioned, to give us that. Without all of you guys out here, that dream would just be a little bit harder to obtain. But right now, it is, even though we have to trial, like I have to travel 9 hours, it's still at our doorstep. I mean, it's not like across the country, it's still in our backyard per se. So as long as we have those circuits here, our dreams are a little bit more achievable. And I feel like more of us anglers need to step up, like these circuits are stepping up, to support each other and allow this dream to continue, because again, you never know when you might not have the opportunity. And I know a lot of people bicker and say this circuit this and that circuit that, but you know what? They're here. So just go out there and fish.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well said. It is that portion that if you want it to be a reality out here on the West Coast, there's always a lot that we fight against. We don't have the big, I mean, you're wearing a company's shirt right now in Bridgeford that has stepped up and been a part of, keeping the West Coast viable towards anglers and having good tournament circuits out here and being able to make a living as a tournament angler. I don't feel like it's quite there yet. I think we're just a little ways off, but it's getting closer and getting closer. And everybody, I can't say anything real, and I won't say anything real on this one, but keep looking at the BAM Trail, because I'm telling you right now, Mark has got some ideas and some things that he's going to be doing they are going to 100%. He is bound and determined to keep our anglers on the West Coast and to give you that viable option to say, you know what? I don't want to be a hospice nurse anymore. I want to be a professional.
No. I want to do both.
It's one of those things that, you can do. And I feel like that's, one day there will be anglers on the West Coast, as long as we keep getting the support, as long as we keep getting the new sponsors coming in and saying, you know what, I want to be a part of that. And I see that there is a place to put marketing dollars into this sport, because that's what we need, is people deciding that You know what? We're driving around in $70,000 trucks, $110,000 boats now. You know, they're out in the water. Even the kayaks are, you know,
Yeah.
they're not inexpensive anymore. It's not like you went out and spent $50 and you're sitting on a piece of
Right.
these things are $2,000 for setups, and then you put all the other stuff on it. You're talking about people are out there running around on $4,000 kayaks now. You know, it's crazy what's going on. And you know, bass boats that are, like I said, 110 from $50,000 up to 110, entry fees in the $2,000 range.
Yeah.
This isn't a joke out here. This is a
Right.
job. This is a
Right.
career that you can make. And it's getting closer and closer and closer. And I know that you're one of those people that's like, yeah, I want to go to the front of the boat.
Yeah.
You may want to put down on your taxes every year that you're a hospice nurse, but one of these days you may be able to put down, you know what, / professional fisherman. And I think that right there is a great dream, and I hope you get to that dream. So, you know, do you have any social media out there that people can follow you, that people can watch you, that people can tune in and see what you're doing out there?
I do. I have Facebook, Rachel Uribe, and then I have Instagram, which is Ladies Fish 2. And I do have my YouTube channel, Uribe's Tackle Box. I am going to be posting some more videos on Uribe's Tackle Box. I haven't been doing it quite often, but I'm going to get back into doing that as well. Do a little bit more tips, a little bit more teaching, hopefully a little bit more inspiration for others. You know, whether you're barely starting to fish or, you know, you're a professional out there, hopefully it's something that you can take a little bit from and make you more successful out in the water.
Do you have any appearances coming up or anything like that? You're going to be doing some seminars or any work like that?
Nope, just a kayak event up at Clear Lake for the Bass Nation. I'm hoping to punch my ticket in for the Bassmaster Championship. There's
Nice.
so far 110 kayakers signed up, and they'll be taking the top 10.
Well, you know what? Good luck with that. I hope you do very well. We will be watching you out there. Rachel, thank you for coming on doing the show. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, Bam. You're a heck of an angler. I was not joking when I said I went out and got one of the baddies out there. She's out here doing it right now. You know, you may not have got first, but hey, you'll always be number one in our book. So thanks for coming on here and doing the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed this show. There's a lot of information right there. And if you haven't turned your head yet and looked at what Rachel's doing out there, do it now, because this is one coming up. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you on the next show.